We are back! Hey fans, so hi. Yes, I'm back on YouTube, and I know it seems a little crazy because I checked my analytics yesterday, which is like a YouTube thing. You might know what it is, you might not. But last time I posted a video was 1 year and 268 days ago. So that's how long I've been absent from YouTube, and I genuinely apologize, but as of right now, I'm back. So yeah. Today's video is going to be a video that I've wanted to make since I entered YouTube, but I never really at the same time wanted to because I didn't want some people knowing. Then I realized that like a lot of people have it, so screw it, you know? Put it on the internet for everybody to know. Today's video is about my adventure and my story of being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. We jump back in time to the summer of before I got diagnosed. Because I got diagnosed with diabetes on September 27th of 2011. My uncle has type 2 diabetes. And me being the curious little 7-year-old I was asking him to test my blood sugar. And he was like, no, like you don't need me to test your blood sugar. And I was like, I just want you to do it. So he did it. And my blood sugar was like 500. And that's not normal. Everybody's blood sugar should be, depending on your age, like for my age, it's 80 to 180. And your pancreas, which is the organ behind your stomach, is supposed to help maintain that normal blood sugar. So it wasn't normal for me to be 500 because my pancreas should be like evening it out for me. So my uncle got nervous and was like, this isn't supposed to be this way. So then we thought it would be a great idea to go to the movies. So we went to the movies, and of course, what does everybody eat at the movies? Popcorn, snacks, candy, soda, all that stuff. So then we came back, and my blood sugar was so high that the machine just said high. Which means that my blood sugar was over 700. What? So that was a really big issue because nobody's blood sugar should be over 700 if they don't have diabetes because you could get severely sick. So my uncle called my mom and was like, something's wrong with Lalena. Her blood sugar is out of this world and it shouldn't be like that. You need to make her a doctor's appointment. A couple weeks went by and my mom finally made a doctor's appointment. And I remember my mom telling me a couple years ago that before the summer before I got diagnosed with diabetes, I was really different. Like I was very irritable and angry all the time, and I think it was because my blood sugar was always high. Because one of the symptoms of high blood sugar is irritability, which is when you get angry super quickly for no reason. So she takes me to the doctor, and the doctors were kind of rude. They basically told her that she was crazy and that there was no way I could have diabetes. But they were like, you know what, we'll check her just because you want us to. So they pricked my finger, they took a blood sample, and they left the room. And about 5 to 10 minutes later, my doctor come bursting in the room, and she's like, when was the last time she ate? What did she eat? And when was it? And my mom was like, I don't know, she's been at school all day. So then my mom turns to me and is like, Lalena, what was the last thing you had to eat? When was it? And what was it? And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't really like monitoring what I was eating and what time I was eating it. So I was like, I had this, and this at this time, and that was earlier today. And the lady just like looked at me in like complete and total awe. And she was like, you need to go to the hospital right now. We've already called and told him you're on the way. Call your husband and go to the hospital now. Side note, when she's told my mom to call her husband, I'm literally sitting there and she was like, call your husband. And I was like, because my mom's not married. She's never been married. So when people just assume that, especially when I was younger, I thought it was funny. So we get to the hospital. We're literally sitting there for like 2 hours. I was like, I thought they called ahead. Like, what happened? And so I'm sitting there and we go in and these people are like asking me the same questions over and over again, and I'm getting so annoyed because I'm 7 years old and everybody's screaming and I'm just like, huh. And I finally get into the room and they're asking me all these questions like, what's your favorite color? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what's going on? And so they do like these tests, they give me IVs, they hook me up to all these machines, and then all of a sudden I hear them talking about shots, and I was like,
What do you mean?
I was like, I'm not down for shots. Like, I've never been down for shots. Like, what kid is down for shots? So they had to give me insulin, and which is I guess you could call it medication that your pancreas produces. And I haven't had that in a long time. They had to give me a shot, and they had to give me a lot of insulin because my blood sugar was extremely high. So all of a sudden, I just went into a total raging panic attack. And they had to hold me down. And while this nurse is trying to give me a shot it was this arm, I was freaking out, like screaming bloody murder. I was like, no, she's trying to kill me, she's gonna kill me, like, Mom, help me. And my mom was like, why is she acting like this? Like, it's just a shot, like, she's had a shot before. And like, my whole family is there, like my aunt, my uncle, my great-grandparents, my cousins, my mom, my dad, like everybody's there because nobody knows what's going on. And I'm just screaming bloody murder. Like, half the hospital can hear me, right? And so she gives me the shot, and I remember calming down for like 30 seconds. 2 hours after this shot, I was still having a mental breakdown panic attack.
2 hours.
They tried everything to calm me down. They tried to bring certain family members in that were my favorite. They tried to make me talk to certain nurses and doctors. They even picked me up, put me in a wheelchair, and rolled me down to the kids area, where I again freaked out and screamed in bloody murder because this is so bad. In the kids area, there's like certain toys, there's like pictures, and there's like TVs, you know, totally different. And this is an ER, it's emergency room. So, you know, they have like the regular ER for like the adults, and then they have like the kids one, so like, you know, it could settle down the kids and make them feel like they're not in a bad place. So they roll me down into the kids room because, once again, I'm 7 years old, and there's a dolphin picture on the wall, and it's a dolphin in water, and he's like the happiest little dolphin ever. He's like, and I start screaming, no, it's a shark, he's gonna eat me, it's a shark. And they were like, still to this day, nobody knows why I acted like that. We don't know if it was like a reaction to insulin because I had it for the first time in forever. We don't know if it was just because I was scared and not knowing what was going on. We honestly don't know what happened. So finally, they roll me back up to my hospital bed, and I'm laying in the bed, and the doctor takes my mom out of the room. And this is all told to me after the fact. Like, obviously, I didn't know what was going on. The only thing I really remember is the nurse trying to kill me, the dolphin trying to eat me, shark, sorry, the part where the doctor is like talking to me, which I'm about to tell you. That's the only 3 things. Everything else has been told to me by my mom, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my great-grandparents. So my doctor takes my mom out of my room and is like, listen, we don't know what's going on because normally kids don't act like this. So if she doesn't calm down in the next 10 minutes, we're gonna have to like sedate her and admit her to Nemours for a psych eval. I'm 7 years old, and they're talking about ambulance riding me an hour away while I'm sedated to a children's hospital where they're going to keep me there for 3 days without my parents and give me an evaluation to see if I'm mentally insane. My mom walks in my room, my hospital room, and she's not mad, she's just so concerned and scared because this isn't normal, and she's never seen me act like this before, and the doctor telling her that this doesn't normally happen, so we don't know what's going on with me, scared her 10 times more. So she comes up to my hospital bed, and she kind of leans down, and she goes, Lalena, I don't know what's going on, I don't know why this is happening, but I need you to calm down. or else we're gonna have to take you and get a psyche valve. And I don't want to do that because this is already enough. And something must have switched. Like 3 to 5 minutes later, my doctor comes back in and he's like, "Hi, Lalena." And I was like, "What up?" And he was like, "Do you know where you are?" And I was like, "I'm at the hospital." And he was like, "Do you know when your birthday is?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I told him. And then he was like, "Do you know why you're here?" And I was like, "No." So a couple minutes later, the doctor pulls my mom out of the room again and takes her a little bit down the hall and was like, "Your daughter has type 1 diabetes." And my mom's world just like something shifted over her. And all of a sudden I hear her crying, and I hear her talking to my aunt, who's she passed away about a year ago, but she was my favorite aunt. She was my great-grandma's oldest daughter, so she was my great aunt. And I hear her talking to her, and I got up out of my hospital bed, and I looked down the hallway to my left, and I see her talking to my aunt, and I see her crying. And, you know, she just tells me, like, go back in the, like, she sees me, and she's like, "Go back in the room, Lena." And I was like, okay. And I went back in the room, and then we just kind of learned our new life. Like, they told us, "Okay, you're gonna go home tonight, and for the next 2 days, you're gonna drive to Orlando," which is about an hour away from where I live, "and you're gonna learn your new life." And we were all like, my mom was like, "You want me to take her home?" What happens if she like dies, or if she like has another mental breakdown for 2 hours? So the next day, I went to Orlando, and we learned a whole formula. We got vials of insulin. We got freaking needles that I still have to this day. They're like little syringes. And then we had to drive home, and then we had to come back the next day super early in the morning to go over everything and like learn like new stuff and blah blah blah. And we were just like, and they were like, "Okay, you're good to go, you can go home now." And we were like, that's scary, we're not going home. Now that you guys know my story of not how I got it, but how I found out I had it, I'm gonna just kind of barely explain how it works. So with diabetes, there is an organ behind your stomach called a pancreas, and that pancreas takes sugar and breaks down the sugar from insulin. And insulin is the fluid that your pancreas produces to break down that sugar, also known as glucose. So when your body doesn't produce that insulin, it can't break down sugar, which causes your sugar levels to be like, "Ee!" and they just go. And it could be super dangerous, because if your blood sugar gets too high or too low, you could pass out, go into a coma, and possibly die. And that's not good. So, but here's the funny thing. This is what I always thought was just the stupidest thing, and it makes me hate my body so much. Why I have type 1 diabetes, because there's a difference between type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is when you don't have a good diet and exercise routine, and your pancreas still produces insulin, just not enough. And you normally get type 2 when you're over 18. With type 1, you normally get type 1 when you're under 18, and it's because your own body attacks your pancreas, which then just causes it to stop working. Everybody always asks me like, "Oh, like you're not allowed to eat sugar, right?" Or like, "Oh, like you can't have candy, right?" And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Total different program, because there's 2 different types. My type, I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, as long as I take my medicine for it, and then I'm good to go. This is the messed up part. When you have diabetes, it's your own body that attacks your pancreas and stops it from working. So if you and I, the person who's watching my video right now, are the same exact organ type for a pancreas, and let's say I die and you need a pancreas transplant, they can take my pancreas, put it in your body, and you're not going to have diabetes. because it's just the way that our bodies work. Now, let's say that the person who's watching my video right now, you were to die, God forbid, and I needed a pancreas transplant. They would take your pancreas, give it to me, and chances are I would still have type 1 diabetes because my body would just take that new pancreas and destroy it all over again. But then they could just as easily take it out, give it to somebody else, and it could work perfectly fine. It's just the way my body is. It's not that my pancreas in general is messed up. It's just that my body basically betrayed my pancreas and attacked it. So, yeah. I went on my Instagram and I told you guys to ask me certain questions on diabetes. So I have about 3 good questions. So I'm just going to go ahead and read those because, you know, that's my comeback. So I figured I'd let you guys ask me a few questions. My cousin asked, how often do you get a new machine for your insulin? So when you do shots, it's just shots. Like, it's nothing special. I did shots for about a year, and then I got my insulin pump. You're supposed to get a new insulin pump every 4 years. However, I've had mine for 6 and almost 7, and it works perfectly fine. I am supposed to be getting a newer version of mine. I have it. I just have to go to a class and like learn how to use it and stuff. So I should be getting a new pump sometime this year or sometime in early 2020. The next question is, how long have you had it? So like I said, I got diagnosed September 27th, 2011, and it is currently June 20th, 2019. So I've had it for, it will be 8 years in 3 months. So yeah. The next question is from a really good friend of mine named Samantha. Hey, queen. And she said, has it ever been a turnoff for a guy or made a guy nervous to be with you because it has to do with your health and they think you're fragile? I really like this question because it's just a really good question, because there are some people in this world who are good people and don't care if I have a wire attached to me 24/7, and then there are other people in this world who think I'm a robot or think I'm weird or think that I'm different because I do have a medical condition that I can't do anything about. Because trust me, if I could choose, I wouldn't have type 1 diabetes, because having an insulin pump on me all the time and having a wire and being bullied when I was younger, not worth it. So my bad. But like I said, most of the time, guys don't really care if I have diabetes. Like if I'm talking to a guy and, you know, I'm on FaceTime with him and I'm wearing like a crop top, or if I meet a guy and he sees like a box sticking out of my side, you know, I have to explain. And sometimes I get really nervous when I have to explain, and sometimes I try to hide it as much as possible because I don't want them to find out and not talk to me anymore. But then I have to explain, and I'm just like, I have a medical disorder called type 1 diabetes, and then I have to give them the whole spiel. Most of the time they don't even care. They're like, okay, you're still a human being, like, it doesn't matter if you have that or not, you're still beautiful. And then there have been a couple of, maybe like 3 or 4 guys who have been like,
so you have to wear that all the time?
And I'm like, yeah. And they're like,
when do you take it off?
And I'm like, when I shower or when I go swimming. And they're like,
that's it? You can't even take it off when you go to sleep?
I'm like, it's life support. If I take it off for more than 3 hours, I could get extremely sick and possibly die. And they're like,
oh, right, my bad.
I'm like, you seem bothered. And they're like,
no, not at all. It's just different.
And then like I won't hear from them for like days or weeks. So then I'll text them and I'll be like, what happened? And they're like,
no, I just lost interest.
And I'm like, okay, why? And they're like,
I just don't really like the fact that you have diabetes.
And I respect that, because like, if you don't like me for me, that's real tough. Because one day I'm going to find somebody who's perfectly fine with me having diabetes. But I was like, okay, whatever you say. And they're like,
No, don't take it as a bad way. Like, you're a great person and you're really pretty. I can't imagine being with someone who has diabetes.
so that is my story of how I got diabetes and basically how I live with it every day for the past almost 8 years. And those are some of the questions that you guys asked me, and it was super fun answering them. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for still being here, because even after my almost 2-year break, I still have almost 100 subscribers, and that's pretty cool. Like, I remember getting notifications just on random days that I got a new subscriber, and I was like, why are people subscribing to me? I haven't posted in forever. But I've never ever gotten a notification or gone and checked YouTube and saw that I had one less subscriber. So even after my break, like, you guys still subscribe to me, and I think that's so freaking cool. So thank you guys for being so patient with me on my forever break, and hopefully I can get back into the swing of things with YouTube. I figured, it's summertime, I'm bored, why not get back into it? Because I really did miss you guys, and I definitely have changed, because I used to, back in my last video, I think I had just turned 14, or I was about to turn 14, and now I'm gonna be 16 in October. So a lot has changed. I have red hair, I have super long hair, my face looks a little bit different, and yeah, so a lot has changed, and hopefully I can get back into the swing of things with this YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more videos about diabetes, like how I live with it on a regular daily basis, what I have to do, or if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up. If you like me, you can subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you guys know when I post new videos. And I will see you guys next Sunday on Lalena Vlogs. Bye!